Welcome back to the Daily Rundown with me, Fiona Fox. I've been rejoined by my lovely guests, Joe Toms, Ashcroft and Mr. David Semple. And they're really excited about this part because this is where they get to just say what they want, within reason. Although, anyway.
We're
say what you want. Say what you want.
reason.
Who's going first tonight? This is just something to say, so obviously you have to choose wisely.
I'm going to let Joe start it because we're touching the same subject. We're both movie buffs.
Okay, so you're just gonna hop on board.
Yeah, hop on board.
Joe's subject.
Yeah, we're just gonna talk about
Lazy, but I don't blame you. I'm sure it's interesting.
Well, you know, Joe used to do movie reviews.
Is this going to turn into Barry Norman and I'm just going to be sitting here and not understanding?
Siskel and
Is this going to
Ebert.
be about film noir?
We might touch on that.
No.
We might touch on that. No,
Okay, go on, talk about this one.
I want to talk about movie villains.
Right.
And the lack of them at the moment.
They're not their existence, do you mean their quality?
Yeah, both.
Right.
Well, I think both existence and quality. I think you look at films sort of the last, with one notable exception, and I've spoken about this film before, The Dark Knight, the Joker.
Yeah.
Very, very good villain. Don't particularly like the film that much, and I'm not a big fan of Christopher Nolan. I just want that open and honest from the get-go.
Who's the Heath Ledger Joker you're talking about?
Yeah, Heath Ledger. I like the kind of camp side of Batman, and I like
the old TV show.
Yeah, it was Romero.
Cesar Romero.
The original Joker.
Burgess Meredith.
Oh, it's fantastic. And then, these are classic villains.
Your favourite Jokers?
I think my favourite Joker, Jack Nicholson is my favourite Joker still.
Yeah, okay.
You see, it's very close. It's Jack Nicholson, it's Cesar Romero, and then it's Heath Ledger.
Yeah. They really made it their own. They really made it strong.
But each one of them made it their own, and it's difficult to, kind of differentiate. Very easy to differentiate, but very difficult to pick one apart because they're so different. But there hasn't been a really great, outstanding, scare the living, out of you villain.
Right.
There just doesn't seem. I'm looking particularly at the sort of superhero movies, and I don't know whether it's a tendency that it's got to be so much about the protagonist and about the sort of the hero, and he's got to be or she's got to be so flawed, and they've got to have demons, and it's almost like the villain then becomes an afterthought.
Or the hero becomes a villain.
Or the hero becomes a villain, and not a very good one because they always do the right thing in the end. But I'm thinking of the sort of the Avengers. That whole mess.
God, your face says it all.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think of what's a standout villain from all of those. So you think, that is a world-class villain. That is someone that you know.
I suffer really badly from you putting something into my head, So now you've obviously said the Joker and the Dark Knight, and that's where I'm stuck.
Can I mention a movie villain who's not in a Superman film?
Yes,
there is a film by Tarantino about the Second World War.
Oh, Inglourious
Bastards, and the German guy.
He is a wonderful villain.
It's a fantastic performance and he gets his.
Do you feel like he plays the same character in every film, though? I only saw him in something recently.
He was in that James Bond thing, wasn't he?
I feel like he's the same guy all the time.
The Bond villains, they haven't had a great. They haven't had a great one for a little while. And I thought he was underused as well, particularly Christopher Waltz, because he played Blofeld, and you're thinking. Bond, Blofeld, the classic Bond villain, who terrorised Bond over movie after movie, and he's barely in it. He barely features.
Control asked me, have you watched Suicide Squad yet?
Well, this is what got me started on it, to be honest, was Suicide Squad. The fact that you have a film that's all about villains, and it's all about, sort of those characters going in. Now, I haven't sat down and watched it, but I was looking at it, I was thinking, well, if it's a film full of villains, but who you're probably rooting for, where's the actual villain? And you don't see much of it. You see Jared Leto as the Joker, but it's not quite clear whether he's part of the whole deal as well.
Right.
I'm just a bit like, I just want someone to put the fear of God into me in a movie.
Who does that for you, though? Like your missus are.
No, definitely not.
Your mommy.
Nurse Ratched, I think, is the best movie villain from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I think she's sort of that understated, she's bubbling and boiling with just sort of this passive-aggressive rage, and just sort of the fact that she's so dead behind the eyes, and she's wonderful in it.
And that's a great name, isn't it?
Yeah, Nurse Ratched as well. She's genuinely terrifying in the way that she's, to create order within her hospital. She's prepared to do anything to. I think the careful bit of without giving the end of the film away, there's a very wonderful bit of manipulation she does on a character called Billy Babbitt, which results in a very unfortunate.
If you haven't seen it.
Exactly, it doesn't go well for all parties involved. But it's the fact that she's prepared to do that. She's wonderful.
How do you feel? Do you feel like writing has become kind of, they want to add depth, and maybe you need to see where the villain's coming from or something, and this is why we've lost something?
No, but we've lost all depth.
Right.
There's no depth. I think the start, again, I saw the new Star Trek one, the villain was massively underused. He had a wonderful backstory that they could have played with. Again, I'm not going to give anything away, but when you get to the end of the film and you find out the villain's origins, you think, well, why didn't we do more with that? Why didn't that, you could have, it could have been much darker and much more interesting had they actually fleshed out the villain, but instead he just sort of talks in these sort of, villainous cliches, and they're badly written, I think, as well at the moment, villains. It's like an afterthought. There's so much concentration going on a protagonist.
It's thrown in as a token.
And it's just like, it's like cardboard cutout. I mean, it's no different from a sort of like Disney twirly moustache sort of British villain. There's no effort being put in.
Oh, you're really disillusioned.
I am. I'm annoyed. I
think it's down to Hollywood screenwriting has massively declined the last 20 or 30 years. And I don't think it's because there aren't a lot of good writers around. I think the studios, what they do is they get a script, get a bunch of guys to write it, then get others to rewrite it, others to rewrite it, and others to rewrite it. So it has no personality from the beginning. Packaging was always there. But basically, they just want to have so many elements in it and just film it. And they'll spend 50, 60, 100 million if it's got the right elements and a bad script. They often do that now.
No, I think you're very right. And it's sort of like it's that kind of box ticking for audience.
Yeah,
we've got car chase, tick, big CGI moment, tick. There's no...
They don't understand. They don't understand what it's like to be a movie viewer. They just go, well, but what makes money? What usually makes money, really, at the box office is when somebody does something different. And what makes stars is when they happen to be in a good film. And, you become a star by being in a well-written role in a good film, like Robert De Niro in Taxi Driver, something like that, or...
More of an anti-hero sort of type.
A star, anyway.
Yeah.
But can I just mention movie villains? Mr. Alfred Hitchcock has a few of my favourite movie villains. And I mentioned there's a film called Strangers on a Train, where a tennis player meets this weird, smooth Washington smoothie chops type guy who starts gossiping about his private life, and then at the end he says, "Oh, you murder my..." because he's having a problem with his wife and having an affair. "Oh, I'll murder your wife if you murder my father."
Yeah.
And the guy, he dismisses it as a joke, but he becomes one of the greatest movie villains because he actually murders the guy's wife. And then he expects the guy to murder his father. And I don't want to give the film away, but it's great. The other great villain, because he's actually one you feel sorry for, is a film called Notorious with Ingrid Bergman and Cary Grant, where Claude Rains plays a Nazi in South America who Ingrid Bergman has to marry in order to spy on their nuclear sort of stuff. They're up to something in the nuclear industry in South America after the war. By the way, this film is way ahead of its time. And the villain, the bad guy, is actually one of the nicest people in the film. He's a really sweet guy, but he's a Nazi. And then he finds out his wife's a spy, and of course they try and poison her to death. That's another type of villain. But I mean, it's been...
Are they your top? They come to mind?
Well, I like those Hitchcock villains. There's so many villains. But most of the references I have are so old.
Does the villain, what does the villain have to be for you? Does it have to have be the opposite of the hero, or can it just be part of an ensemble? Because I'm thinking of somebody who has scared me, and Kathy Bates in Misery.
Wonderful.
Because she's a female, I don't know if it was that. I don't know if I was a bit sexist about my villainry before that, and then it was just wow. That was just. But does that count as a villain? That's more like sort of psychotic.
I would place her as a villain.
Would you?
Well, and the fact that Nurse Ratchet's a female character. She's my favourite villain.
Oh yeah, sure, of course.
Yeah. But she's definitely a villain. I mean, I love the scene with the legs. Because
the worst.
It's and that kind of villainy and that kind of
the hobbler or something.
Yeah, because she's driven by quite clear motives. they're twisted,
Yeah.
you know, and they, but you can sort of identify how her brain's sort of working.
See where she's coming from.
Yeah, not in that sort of way, but yeah.
No, he's written misery out.
Yeah, but no, you can sort of, you know, her character exists within the sort of the world that's been created, and it all sort of ties nicely with the way that she acts, and you know, for sort of her mannerisms and the speech. You know, there's a lot of thought has gone into that character. Whereas I think, and this is where I think we're at with villains at the moment. It's like they've just got to be. They're just too 2D almost.
Right.
There's nothing. There's no depth to them. It's just I want world domination. You know. I think the worst one I'm thinking of is Loki in the Marvel films with Tom Hiddleston, where I just don't care.
That's the problem. Right? That's the worst thing to walk
I've
away
always
from.
rooted for villains as well. Like
I actually don't care.
Yeah, I mean, I take The Lion King for example. I was always on Scar's side. You know, I was quite.
That's sick.
So I don't know if it's I've identified.
You're a
with,
villain.
Yeah, well, maybe. And I've always, I find them much more interesting as characters because they're just, you know, they're sort of, I've got to save the day. No, none of that.
Not enough.
No.
Let's chat a bit more through the break. We're going into our last break of the evening. It's flown by, but don't go anywhere. There's still some time, so we'll see you in about 3 minutes.